are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Well, December is a slow month for divorce. A lot of couples that are even feuding and living under the same roof are kind of putting off their divorce until after the holidays. But often in January and February, there's a tsunami of divorces. So if you're watching this right now and you're considering divorce, you should consider collaborative divorce law, because it's a growing area. Joining us to talk about that, Camille Milner. She is a collaborative divorce attorney. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
Well, let's define it. I mean, collaborative sounds good. It sounds like two couples are working together. Does that describe it?
Not in comparison to what the brand of divorce really is. Mm-hmm. In Texas, beginning in we've had divorce for a long time, but in the 50s and 60s, the only way you could get a divorce was if you said such horrible things about your spouse and proved it, such as adultery or abandonment or cruelty, to the point that the court would order a divorce. And so the brand of divorce in Texas is hostility, drain the bank accounts, lock the other spouse out of the house. But that's not who the vast majority of people are. And the sad thing has been that the vast majority of people have only seen that as their one option. So in around 2000, collaborative divorce came to Texas. I got on that train because I saw right away that it was a much better fit for families who are transitioning and working to a new structure for their family versus the division in courts.
Yes. I mean, do you see a lot of, I'll call it unscrupulous attorneys that are just stretching it out? They're actually trying to get the two to go to war.
I think there is a stigma about that, and I think there are a few. The vast majority of us in family law are not that way. We are problem solvers. Unfortunately, the court system, because it is a position-based, one side says what they want, the other side says what they want, and they basically, like a football game, go to war and somebody wins by saying the ugliest stuff that caught the attention of the judge. Because that was the only system out there until mediation and collaborative came along, that's what most people think about, and that's what many lawyers have gone into without looking any farther.
Yes, and you also teach collaborative divorce law. We've got some pictures of you doing workshops and training, and you've actually trained hundreds of lawyers over the course of time, haven't you?
It may be over 1,000 now. I sort of lost track.
Wow, that's got to feel good.
It does. It does. I really appreciate when people want to share the philosophy of helping families. Most of us that go into law do it because we want to be in a service industry or servants. But unfortunately, the dirty little secret about law school in my day was the only option if you have a conflict was court. And so it's been a long transition to try and convert not only the world, but a lot of lawyers that think that's still the only viable option.
And you are also an author. Tell us about your book.
Well, my husband and I have written a book, Build the Brand and Get More Collaborative Cases. And the purpose of this book is to help professionals that are in the collaborative divorce field help clients know we're out there. It's really not as much about marketing in the way of selling a product as much as training them on what we need to do so that the people on the street know that we're out there, because that's still our biggest challenge.
Well, I think the biggest fear, especially for parents who are getting divorced, is that the kids will be used as pawns in court. Through collaborative law, you can not have to put the kid on the witness stand, isn't that right?
Right. And most judges don't want children on the witness stand either. But when parents can't agree, one of the tools that's been used the last 30 years are custody evaluations, or what we used to call social studies. And a social worker would go from one house to the other and evaluate the situation and either make a recommendation to the court or just report the facts. You can see that very system would pit one parent against the other. And in fact, in collaborative, it's so diametrically different. We have a trained mental health professional on the team that helps the parents know how to do this in a way that doesn't harm the children. And sometimes if there's been conflict in the house, the kids are actually emotionally in a better place once the divorce is over because the conflict has gone away.
Yes.
So what we also do in some cases, I had one a few years ago where the parents, they still loved each other, but for certain reasons they couldn't go on, and they were so engulfed in their own pain that one of their children was in distress. And we brought, and this isn't very often the case, but we brought in another professional in who's a child specialist who gave the children a voice at the table. And we say it's a voice, not a choice. And what that person was able to do was inform the parents in a way that didn't, if you want to say, rat out the kids of who was feeling the most distress and what they were really feeling, but let the parents know that they were so engulfed in their own pain that the children were in distress. And those parents literally broke down together, and it was a transformational moment in the case. From that point on, their focus was on the kids, and the kids are good now, and the parents are good now. In fact, they have laughingly said to me the way they're going to recoup their professional fees is they're going to become the new Brady Bunch. They each have new partners or spouses, and they all have occasions, whether it's holidays or one time it was just they all went to the movies together, and it was his, hers, mine, and ours. And that sounds so much like a TV comedy, but with people being thoughtful and mindful that this can be their greatest teaching moment as a parent on modeling how to do this, if it has to be done, how to do it right, it can change generations of families.
Wow. Camille, I know you have a kind heart. I can feel it over here. Even though we're social distance, I can feel your kind heart. I guess a win for you is a divorce that happens. I mean, unfortunately, people do get divorced, but both couples are intact. The kids are okay. I mean,
Right.
does that describe what a happy outcome is of a?
It is. And also, one of the things that some of our clients do is actually send, oftentimes people get a Christmas holiday letter. Well, I actually had some clients that said, we'd like to do a letter like that to our family and friends so that they know we don't want them to get in the middle of this, and we don't want to lose our relationship with them. And we don't want them to say about our other spouse, either to our children, in front of our children, or to us, anything unkind or disrespectful, because this is something we're dealing with, and we want to come through the other side and still be a family, just more like distant relations than the traditional family.
Absolutely. We're almost out of time, so I'll give you final thoughts. What would you like to leave the audience with?
That none of us want divorce, but if it's a reality in someone's life, that there is a different way to do it. And if they can find people that are trained in collaborative divorce on the Collaborative Divorce Texas website or my website or the Denton County Collaborative Divorce website, there's help. And the vast majority of people want a civilized, respectful, and compassionate transition to their family's new reality.
Wow, that's a beautiful way to end it. We're going to put your website up. It's milner-law.com. Camille Milner, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.